Hold on to your cosmic rays, my friends, because Marvel Comics just dropped their all-new Fantastic Four #1. But before you crack open your wallet for this fresh start, let's talk about the absolute marvel of disorganization that is this issue. Because if you thought the upcoming Fantastic Four film would be nothing like the comics, well, you might be right, but not for the reasons you expect. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. From the jump, this new #1 issue throws a cosmic curveball. Right on page 2, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman herself, confidently declares, "I lead the team." Now, for anyone who's spent more than 5 minutes with the Fantastic Four, that's a statement so jarring it's like watching a magic show where the rabbit pulls the magician out of the hat. Reed Richards and Mr. Fantastic, the stretchy brainiac, has been the undisputed leader since, well, forever. This isn't just a character choice, it's a symptom of a much larger problem. But that's just the tip of the cosmic iceberg. The single most shocking, head-scratching aspect of Fantastic Four #1 is its baffling inconsistency with the ongoing One World Under Doom event. Yeah, you heard that right, both are written by the same man, Ryan North. It's like a chef serving you two different main courses, both supposedly from his signature recipe, but one is a gourmet delight and the other is, well, let's just say makes you question if he even owns the same kitchen. This isn't just a minor plot hole, it's a screaming siren for disorganization at the highest levels of Marvel. And speaking of disorganization, let's talk about the dreaded #1 issue. Marvel loves these things, don't they? Every few years, a new #1 drops promising a fresh start or a bold new direction. But here's the problem. This Fantastic Four #1, which is very similar to many others coming from Marvel these days, is secretly issue number 34 of Ryan North's ongoing run, and a whopping number 727 of the overall series if you look at the legacy numbers. It's an all-new #1 with the exact same creative team and the exact same ongoing story threads. This isn't a reboot. It's a retail ruse. It's a transparent attempt to get new readers and collectors to shell out $5 for a comic that feels less like a beginning and more like a cheap, cynical cash grab. Honestly, they could have just slapped Volume 2 on it and been more honest about it. So let's get into the meat of the issue and whether or not the story is worth your time, even if the things surrounding it don't make a lot of sense. What's my first impression of this cosmic curiosity? Well, it tries to be a fresh start, but it trips over its own established continuity. It's got the usual vibrant art from Humberto Ramos, which is great, but even pretty pictures can't hide a story that feels like it's forgotten its own past. My gut tells me it's less fantastic and more fantastically perplexing for anyone who's already reading the Fantastic Four. And here we get into the guts of the issue. It starts off with our beloved quartet, Sue, Reed, Ben, and Johnny, diving headfirst into a confrontation with Dr. Doom, who is now the Sorcerer Supreme, consistent with the One World Under Doom event. Apparently, he's pulled a classic Doom maneuver and taken over the entire Earth, and the Fantastic Four are there to put a stop to his tyrannical reign. There's very little setup. All you see is that the team is in mid-battle, which seems oddly inconsistent with the event again, because they've tried a frontal attack more than once, and every time it ended badly. Here, Ryan North just dispenses with all of the clever machinations of Doom and just starts another fight out of the blue for no reason. Right? It's a typical Tuesday for them, so to speak. But then poof! Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, and the Thing all get zapped away by Doom into multiple timelines throughout the Earth, separating them by eons. Stranded and without a way to get home, we catch up with Johnny, who is sent back in time to the beginning of the Earth before there was even life. It was all just gases and volcanic activity. We find out that the atmosphere is very low in oxygen, about 20%, which makes it very difficult for him to flame on and very difficult for him to breathe. So that's a good way to set that up as far as establishing a ticking clock, because if he doesn't get help soon, he's going to essentially suffocate and he can't use his powers effectively. What he does is he finds what the team calls the Forever Stone, and he etches his date and time on the stone, hoping that somebody in the future would be able to find him. And each one of the team members has a built-in sort of AI computer to help them that's stitched into their suit, thanks to Reed Richards. And that becomes a recurring theme throughout the rest of the timelines. Everybody tries to get to the Forever Stone, etch in their time so that it would be a signal to everybody else where they can be found. Then we catch up with Ben Grimm, the Thing, and what we find is that he's been transported to some prehistoric era where the Earth is populated by dinosaurs. He's of course attacked and tries to get eaten by big, toothsome lizards, but it doesn't turn out so well. He does manage to escape, and he gets the same idea. He finds the Forever Stone, etches in his date and time, and waits to be rescued. Now he's in a little bit of a better shape because all he has to do is fend off the dinosaurs that are attacking him, but for the Thing, that shouldn't be a big deal. Maybe because his part of the story ends with him being surrounded by more tyrannical lizards. Next, we move on to Reed Richards' Mr. Fantastic. Now, he finds himself in the medieval times, in the midst of warring kingdoms, possibly somewhere in Europe. We never get an exact location. He's fired upon as some kind of weird monster, I guess. They never really explain why the locals decide to start firing trebuchets and all kinds of arrows and whatnot at him, but he does manage to escape. He spends about 3 weeks traveling to where he finds the location of the Forever Stone, and he basically winds up in the same spot as Ben and Johnny, even though they're in separate time frames. Lastly, we find Sue Storm, who is falling down out of the sky onto the earth down below using her inviso powers to create a parachute, even though her hair is on fire for some reason. It's an odd visual. It doesn't quite make a whole lot of sense. What she sees is that she's on Earth, but the entire Earth is completely devoid of life. It's a barren rock, and what she sees is that the sun is now a red giant, which means it's on the verge of snuffing everything out. She is effectively at the end of time for planet Earth. Now, when she follows the same plan as everybody else on the team, she looks for the Forever Stone, and unfortunately, the spot where it should be, there's nothing there, which means she has no way of telling anybody where she is in time, and as the last member of the team who is stranded, it is quite clear that there's nobody left on the team to save themselves or anybody else. Now, the foundation of the story is essentially the conflict with the Fantastic Four against Doctor Doom, who is now the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, if you're reading the One World Under Doom event, yes, you do get some meta commentary there. Ryan North is not disguising it at all, the fact that he's using Doctor Doom as an allegory for President Donald Trump, and there's some language in there that basically sounds like kind of MAGA type catchphrases that make that point pretty obvious and almost heavy-handed and in your face. Ryan North also includes his meta commentary, acknowledging that this is really issue number 34 of his run and number 727 of the Legacy numbering. It's a wink and a nod that unfortunately highlights the exact problem. This isn't a fresh start, it's just a numbering change. It underscores that confusing strategy where Marvel wants the buzz of a new number one, they want that sales boost without actually committing to anything that's truly new. It's like putting a fresh coat of paint on a house that's secretly on fire. So that's what's happening. Let's dive deeper into the pros and cons of this issue. The story here is the biggest misfire. The new, and I'll say that in quotes, number one issue feels less like a grand opening and more like a chaotic mid-season episode that forgot its previous plot points. The immediate jump into a Doom-controlled world, while dramatic, clashes horribly with Ryan North's own One World Under Doom event because the Fantastic Four appear to be holding their own, where in the event, they're not even close to being able to confront Doom. So there's a definite mismatch in power sets. It's like tuning into a show and realizing the writers completely forgot what happened last week, except they wrote last week's episode. And Sue Storm's sudden, unearned declaration of leadership, it's a plot device that's so blatant and heavy-handed, it practically has a blinking neon sign around and saying, look at me, this is how we're changing the team because I said so. It screams of editorial disorganization and a puzzling disregard for established character history. This isn't just bad writing, it's a lack of care for the intellectual property. Now for some good news. It's the art. Humberto Ramos with Victor Olazaba on colors delivers his dynamic, vibrant style in a visual feast. The action sequences, especially with the Thing and Human Torch, crackle with energy. You can feel the impact of Ben's punches on dinosaurs and see Johnny struggle for air as he's trying to find some chemical way of creating oxygen. The character designs are spot on and the panel work keeps the pace lively. But here's the rub. Even the most beautiful artwork can't fix a broken story. It's like having a gorgeous frame for a painting that's been, well, painted by two different artists with two different ideas. It's visually appealing, but ultimately it highlights the narrative's just disjointed nature. Let's talk about the character work. The characters themselves, I would say for the most part, are what you'd expect, which is a small comfort. Ben is still the lovable brick, Johnny is still the fiery wild card, even when he's gasping for air, and Reed is still the super smart what should be leader of the group. But Sue's sudden self-appointment as leader sticks out like a sore thumb, and that hits you right on page 2. It's a forced change that doesn't feel earned and clashes with decades of Reed being the team's strategic mind. While the team's interactions are fleeting, they remind you why you love these characters. The problem is, the story doesn't give them much to do beyond reacting to their chaotic circumstances individually. The value of the Fantastic Four is their cohesion as a team. This issue does the exact opposite of that by splitting them up so that they don't get a chance to interact with each other. They're moving pieces and they're not evolving as individuals because they don't have each other to grow from. Alright, so let's talk about the highlights and the lowlights. What's actually good here? It's Humberto Ramos's art. It is genuinely fantastic, delivering explosive visuals and conveying emotion effectively. Johnny's stranded in the past storyline, which is isolating, is an intriguing survival concept that offers some genuine stakes, especially through the use of a ticking clock because they gotta save him before he dies. And in brief moments, the dialogue sparkles with that classic Fantastic Four charm, reminding you of the team you know and love, but that only happens when they're together. But let's be brutally honest, the overwhelming negative is the utter disregard for continuity, specifically with Ryan North's own One World Under Doom event. It's a continuity crisis that screams nobody's paying attention, whether it's the editorial team or the creators themselves. This new #1 issue is a transparent cash grab, offering no fresh direction or creative shakeup, just a renumbering. Sue's sudden, unearned leadership change is baffling, and the overall narrative feels disjointed and unfocused, leaving you scratching your head instead of eagerly turning pages. It's less a new beginning and more of a creative dead end. So final thoughts? Ultimately, Fantastic Four #1 is a disappointment. It's a comic that exemplifies a puzzling lack of cohesion and care from Marvel and its creators. While the art is stellar, the story's inconsistencies, the forced renumbering, and the unearned character shifts make it a frustrating read. It's not the groundbreaking return we hoped for, but rather a confusing, disjointed mess that leaves a bitter taste. If you're looking for a bold new era from Marvel's first family, you'll have to keep looking. This is one #1 that feels more like a creative zero. Therefore, Fantastic Four #1 from Marvel Comics earns a 4 out of 10. But you know what, that's my opinion. What do you think about this issue? Were you looking forward to the new #1 of the Fantastic Four, even though it's in numbering only? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you also scratching your head at Marvel's continuity problems? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your comic-loving friends, and subscribe to the channel for more honest, no-holds-barred comic reviews just like this one. And until next time, keep reading, but read wisely.